Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of A Taste of Abroad. We are featuring World Eats and Beats, and you're with DJ Nathan Suddy. This episode, we're going to be mixing some great house tunes, and so we're going to be having some DJing going on, along with mixing up some great food. Now, in tonight's episode, what we're going to be cooking up is we're going to be cooking up a South American sandwich. Now, that may sound somewhat vague, but as it comes together, you'll see how much of a special dish that this dish is. Now, this could become your new favorite sandwich. It could become perhaps the best sandwich that you ever had. Now, in the tunes department, we've got a great chilled out sort of house tune to start things off, and we'll flow that in while we get cooking. So, to start things off, we've got, before we put the onion in, we're actually going to put a little bit of olive oil, about a tablespoon to 2 tablespoons or so. We've got that over about a medium high heat. We're going to have some diced onion go in. To the diced onion, we're going to add some red capsicum as well. So give that a little stir. Now this sandwich you're going to absolutely love. It's got all of the best things that come out of South America. You've got juicy steak, flavoursome chorizo, you've got some onions, and some capsicum, chimichurri sauce, and cheese. It's really everything that you need in a sandwich. So I'm just going to sweat this down a little bit. While that's sweating down, we're going to go get another tune on board. Alright, so we've got another great tune that's going to be coming in soon. I really like this one. It's also a little bit chilled, but it's got a little bit of a different kind of vibe going on. And you'll see what I mean. Now this one's been out for a little while. It's called Today by Daniel Dexter. It's a really excellent tune. You'll see when it comes in, there's really good melody. Just a really good sort of Sunday kind of tune. So we're going to mix this one in. It's a little bit of a slower kind of mix coming in, so you get a little bit of blend of the two. While that's mixing, we're going to get this mixing as well. So that's starting to sweat down a little bit there. You don't want it on too high of a heat, because if it's on too high of a heat, you're going to get too much colour in there, things are going to start to burn. But you want it on enough heat that starts to sweat down. You'll smell that coming through. I would say normally between that medium high sort of heat, it's perfect. So we'll just mix this one out here. Now, on the drink watch today, we have got the South Coast Pale Ale by Pirate Life Brewing. Now, this, we're going to give every drink a rating. Now, I find this drink, it is quite light bodied, but there is enough citrusy tinge coming through there. Some hints of peach as well, which give it a really good sort of aromatics that come through. It's quite tasty, not the best pale ale I've ever had, but it is definitely one worth trying. Very sessionable, sitting at about 4.4%. So now, at my local bottle shop, unfortunately, I couldn't find a South American beer, otherwise would have gone with the South American beer, or perhaps even maybe a South American wine for this dish. You would want something that goes well against the spiciness of what's going on here. So I personally think, lager's great, pale ale, nice tasty pale ale. And we'll see what's going on in the chins department here, which will, hopefully sort of complement this. Alright, we've just got the breakdown going there. This is starting to look lovely there. Starting to sweat right down. It does take a little while for that to sweat down. You want the onions to start to caramelize a little bit. You want a bit of colour there in the onions and the capsicum as well. While that's going, we're actually going to get the chimichurri sauce going. So what you want for the chimichurri, you want about a quarter of a cup of olive oil. Put olive oil in there. With the olive oil, we're going to go about a tablespoon or so of red wine vinegar. So we've got red wine vinegar going there. We've got about a quarter of a cup to a third cup of parsley, continental parsley. So what you want for that. In terms of the chilies, I would say you probably want one bird's eye chili or half a large chili. If you like spice, keep the seeds in. If you don't like spice, I do really recommend don't put the seeds in. So I put the seeds in myself. I want a little bit of a kick on this. We've got 2 cloves of garlic, 2 normal sized cloves of garlic there as well. We want to have a little bit of black pepper in there, probably about a quarter of a teaspoon or so. So just a little bit. About a teaspoon of oregano, dried oregano leaves as well. That's what you want in there. And you also want about a half a teaspoon of salt. I'm just going to mix this one in. That's mixing in lovely there. This is such a good time sort of tune, It's got like you can't feel bad when you listen to this song that's coming in. It's quite a new song by Hot Mood called Pourquoi me déguster. Sorry for the pronunciation, I know that's probably terrible. Maybe someone could correct me on that. That one should be coming in shortly. Alright, so this is starting to look pretty good here. See, that's sweated down right to around where we need it. We've got the chimichurri here. I'm just going to give the chimichurri a nice little stir. The trick with the chimichurri, which is a condiment from South America, is you don't want to puree that in a blender. It's meant to be a condiment. It's not meant to be pureed in a blender. So you do want to finely chop it. Now that's one of the secrets there to having a good chimichurri. So that's looking lovely there. Now what I'm going to do is, since we've only got the one cooker here, just going to move this over to the other cooker here. And I'm going to put this down on a low heat. So that's going to go down on a low heat over here. Now I'm just going to have that on a low heat just to keep that warm. And what I'm going to do in this pan is I'm actually going to get a little bit more olive oil. Olive oil is wonderful stuff. You can never have too much of that. And I'm going to put in, I've chopped up some chorizo here. Try and find the best chorizo you can. I mean, if you can find some specialty chorizo, definitely try for that. I'm going to put that in my pan there. And I'm going to cook that too on a medium-high heat. And I'm just going to let that cook out. What's going to happen there is you're going to have the fats are going to start to break down in there, which are going to give you this lovely, juicy, beautiful, fragrant sort of meat there. And what we're going to actually do is we're going to add, once that sort of started, the fats have started to break down, we're actually going to add the steak into there. And we're going to that's going to give us lovely marinated steak, marinated in that beautiful flavours of the chorizo. So we're going to see what sort of tune's going to come on this one, after this one. Alright, so we're just looking for what tune's going to go in well after this one. I think this tune's probably going to go pretty good after this one. So with the DJing, what you're trying to do is you're just trying to line up the beats per minute so that they're hitting at about the same point, or the exact same point. Alright, so we're about to get this one mixed in. Alright, so that's starting to line up there. So once that starts to line up, what you want to do is you want to start to blend this one in. And that chorizo is going beautifully there as well. And start to blend this one in. I'm going to give that chorizo a bit of a stir as well. Look at that. And you can see there, hopefully you can see there in the camera, the fat's just starting to render out of the chorizo there. Lovely, beautiful flavoursome fat. So while that's coming down, we're just going to cruise out of this tune as well. So that's coming into the next tune there. The chorizo is looking quite good there. That's coming along as we want it. So now that the chorizo is looking kind of getting towards where we want it to be cooked, we're going to add in the steak. Now, in terms of the steak that you should use any kind of steak that you would use in the barbecue. So, you could use like a rump steak, Scotch fillet, sirloin, any kind of steak that you think that you want on a barbecue. I've finely sliced mine for this particular recipe, so I can incorporate that. Now, the trick is here, you really don't want that cooking for long. You really only want that cooking for a really short period of time, because otherwise you're going to get really chewy steak, and no one wants to have chewy steak. So we're going to just stir that through. So that's getting there. Tunes are looking great over there as well. Now this really combines a lot of the fundamentals of the best food from South America. You've got chimichurri, which is typical of Argentina and Uruguay. You've got steak, which, Argentina, Brazil, they love their steak. Chorizo as well is big in areas of, throughout South America. And we're going to top that with some cheese. So that's getting to be almost where we want that to be. So, what we'll do from here on in is we're just going to get, now I've got a nice rustic baguette here. You can use a rustic baguette if you want. You can also use a soft roll, a hot dog roll, anything that's, you don't want something too chewy, but anything that's nice and soft and that's going to, you know, be pliable for the sandwich. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this here and I'm going to spoon in some of our mixture. Now this will make enough for 2 sandwiches, so I'm going to put about half of the mixture there. I've got some grated cheese here as well. Now you can use, if you want more of a South American feel, you can go something like provolone. Any sort of good melting cheese will do. You know, you can use like a Maasdam Gouda, maybe a cheddar as well. So any sort of good melting cheese. We've probably got about 50 grams or so there, which we'll put over. And then I'm just going to get our mixture here of the onions and the capsicum. I'm going to put over some of that as well. That's looking beautiful there. The colours there. And to accentuate the colours as well, I've got this lovely chimichurri condiment as well. I'm going to go some of that over the top. And make sure you get some of the oil and the vinegar mixture there as well. Give it a lovely sort of moisture as well. Oh, that looks beautiful. Now we've got, so the top of that is a little bit sort of fallen out there as well, which will. And there you have it, the South American sandwich, which has chorizo, beautiful steak, the best chimichurri that you'll have, which is if you've never had it before, which is a condiment you have to try. Some cheese there, which really offsets the spiciness and the herbs sort of through the chimichurri. You've got the lovely sweetness coming through from the onions and the red capsicum as well. So it's a really delicious meal. Now I'll see if I can close this. See if I can get a bite of that. Oh. Making a bit of mess of it, but that is fantastic. Beautiful. Now if you like the recipe today, or any of the tunes, make sure you subscribe or like World Eats and Beats from DJ Nathan Study at A Taste of Abroad. Thank you, and we'll see you next time.